Today's show is being sponsored by the Spring Forward Writers Retreat. If you're someone who's been sitting on your book for weeks, months, years now, especially if you're a Gen X woman, you've been through some major experiences, you have a story, you have something to say and to share with the world, but you've been sitting on it, or you've been a bit confused as to where to start. 2025 is your year to shine and get it done and get that story out there. The Spring Forward Writers Retreat will be a 3-day retreat in beautiful sunny Orlando, Florida, where we're coming together for the sole purpose of writing the book. We're coming together to help you get what's in your head onto the page so you can come in an aspiring author and leave as an author. Your manuscript will be completed by the end of that weekend. And not only that, but you'll also have the next steps that you'll need to be published and to properly market your book. So you're coming in with your ideas, maybe a partial draft, maybe you started on your book already. But by the end of the weekend, you'll have a completed manuscript and the next steps that you'll need to take to be successful with your book, with your story. You'll have help and guidance not only from myself, but also from other successfully published authors who've experienced the process and can guide you to completion. If this sounds really good to you, if you're interested, go to www.springforwardretreat.com for more information. Good evening. Happy Wednesday, my winners and goal-getters. Welcome back to the Getting the Win Show. I am your host, Mellissa T, the Procrastination Bully, and this is part 2 of my interview with whole food plant-based vegan health coach and business coach Lisa A. Smith. She is the founder of the Plant Protocol. She has her Plant Protocol podcast. She also helps people be better in their coaching businesses as well, health-based coaching businesses. So in this second half of the conversation, we delve a little deeper into the importance of health and its impact on procrastination, particularly poor health, and how that can lead to procrastination. But we also, like part 1, delve deep into some personal development stuff as well. So once again, get ready to take notes. A lot of gems dropped here. All right. So enjoy, be blessed. To the point of Lisa's podcast, you recently did an episode, Lisa, where you talked about, and we touched on it the last time we had an interview as well, but you talked about the perspective of gratitude that we should all have. Ooh. If our bodies are less than optimal, the gratitude that we should have that our bodies have been so patient with us to show the symptoms that we're dealing with. So I would love for you to speak a little bit more to that, like dig a little deeper into that.
I would love to. Thank you for bringing this up, Mellissa. So in a recent podcast episode, I talked about how we should be extremely grateful for disease, sickness, and illness. Mm-hmm. We should be extremely grateful for inflammation. We should be extremely grateful for excess weight on our bodies, because all of that are indicators of forgiveness. Mm-hmm. Our body has forgiven us for our own disobedience. We knew we were supposed to be drinking water instead of coffee and alcohol and juice. We knew we were supposed to be eating fruits and vegetables instead of fast food and processed food. We knew we were supposed to be moving and exercising. We knew smoking that mess wasn't good for us. We knew that excess drinking wasn't good for us. And so what we did was we rolled the dice. We bet that we could do this and our bodies would still wake us up every day and allow us to do all the things that we desire to do. And so when we think about, maybe the grief that might come with something like type 2 diabetes or obesity or hypertension or autoimmune disease or insomnia or skin issues or erectile dysfunction or fibroids or cancer, when we think about how uncomfortable it is to have those conditions, at the exact same time, we should be thanking our body that instead of just stopping our heart, it just narrowed our arteries and gave us high blood pressure so the blood can still pump through, because our disobedience is what clogged our arteries. Mm-hmm. Our disobedience is what caused the scale to go up. Our disobedience is what caused the high cholesterol, the heart disease. the kidney failure, because we kept pouring junk and poison into our bodies, and it forgave us with a diagnosis as opposed to stop functioning completely. And it gave us chance after chance. We didn't start at stage 4. We didn't start at stage 5. It kept giving us chances. Right. And so when we think about, how maybe challenging it could be to put these conditions in remission and to reverse them, when we think about all the work that has to go into eating differently and exercising and prioritizing sleep and eliminating chronic stress, we should not complain not one single second. We should say, body, thank you for just making me tired because I wouldn't stop eating sugar instead of shutting down completely. Body, thank you for giving me high blood pressure and just making it a little harder for my blood to pump through my veins instead of stopping my heart completely, because I have not been obedient to what I know you needed to thrive. I knew you needed fruits of it. I knew you needed water. I know you needed proper rest. I know you need movement. But I've been disobedient to that because I thought other things and other people were more important. So I'm grateful for this diagnosis, because this diagnosis is what saved my life. And so I just want us to put things in perspective, but in the same vein, to understand that forgiveness doesn't mean that we are not escalating. So every time our body forgives us by giving us 5 extra pounds, every time our body forgives us by increasing our blood pressure or our cholesterol, that doesn't mean things aren't escalating. So don't take your body for granted. I said in that episode that God is the only one who has unlimited capacity for our foolishness. And we keep thinking that we can keep making unhealthy and bad decisions, and that every day we're just going to wake up and our body's going to do everything for us that we needed to do, even though we haven't been given it the fuel it needs to do it. That's insanity. So at some point, right, you have to realize that the forgiveness is going to run out and you can reach a point of no return. And you might reach a point where your only option is management and remission is off the table. And we don't want to get there. And so while it's hard work to change your lifestyle, while it's hard work to change your eating, while it's hard work to beat a food addiction, you have to understand that you've been given grace by your body, and it's not optimal, but it's still functioning enough that allows you to make some different decisions. So it's time to make some different decisions.
Absolutely. And to put a punctuation on that, if you've been rocking with me for a while, you already know I'll talk a lot about the fact that you are a hashtag luxury item. So God already made the ultimate investment in you by sending his son to die for you. You are the ultimate treasure to him. Therefore, your body is the treasure that he has entrusted to you. And the fact that it does give you chance after chance, it does forgive you. That is actually a reflection of his forgiveness as well. So take those opportunities to make those decisions that are necessary. You are worth the discomfort of the withdrawal when you have to let go of the sugar. You are worth the discomfort of letting go of the what I like to call the flour. You know what I'm saying? The all the breads, the muffins, the donuts, anything that has wheat flour in it. You are worth giving that up because you do have the assignment and purpose on your life, and there are people waiting for you to walk in that.
100%.
Yeah. Plus, there are things that God cannot unlock until you do those things. So there are certain things you won't get access to until you make those decisions.
That's right.
Yeah.
So good.
Absolutely. So lastly, you mentioned this here a minute ago, but let's touch on chronic stress, because you've been talking about that for the latter half of 2024 because it is so important. First, let's start from that angle of procrastination. How does chronic stress cause people to procrastinate, and what do we need to do to eliminate chronic stress from our lives?
Oh man. So how does chronic stress cause us to procrastinate? Intellectually, we're compromised. Okay. So when we have elevated levels of cortisol, adrenaline, any stress hormones, what it does is sends a signal to our brain that we need to react. And so in order to react, it activates the part of our brain that's reactive and cuts off the part of our brain that's more like reasoning and taking time to make decisions. So it's like approaching, an intersection and somebody is running the stop sign, right? We don't have time to calculate, triangulate. We just need to react. And when those stress hormones flood the body, our brain is like, we're not thinking about digestion right now. We're not thinking about immunity right now. We need to react. And so when you are chronically stressed in your life, and you're not necessarily approaching an intersection where somebody's running the stop sign, but you're just at a job you can't stand, or you're in financial distress, or you are in an unhealthy relationship, right? Or you have a big project that you don't feel qualified for, or you have feelings of inadequacy, whatever's stressing you out, you're in reactive mode. It compromises your ability to make good decisions when we're chronically stressed. And so you're not able to make good decisions, and compromised decision making can oftentimes be a component of procrastination, because what most people do when they can't make a decision, or when they have to make a decision, is they're indecisive, right? And so indecisiveness can cause procrastination. I know, I've taught so many chronic stress workshops, Mellissa, and what inevitably comes up when I'm talking to people about the things that are stressing them out is I ask the situation or the circumstance, and 9 out of 10 times, the reason they're chronically stressed is not because of the circumstance they're in, but because it's being prolonged from their unwillingness to make a decision. So the marriage, it's not that I'm stressed because I'm unhappy in my marriage. I'm stressed because I'm not making a decision about my marriage. Like it's not that, like the job, like I know I've been outgrown the job. It's been unfulfilling. But I'm not making a decision about my career. And so it's the inability to make decisions, the unwillingness to make decisions, the unwillingness to make quick decisions that's typically really causes the stress. Because as soon as we get the divine download and the intuitive pull to pivot from a circumstance, that's the moment we should be taking action on that thing. I'm not saying quit today, quit the job today. I'm saying create an exit strategy today and execute on the exit strategy. There's no action taking, i.e., there's no decision making being made, oftentimes because of things like fear and all these other things. And so that is what's actually the stressful thing, is I have no exit. I have no plan for how I'm going to get out of this situation. And so chronic stress, really it compromises our ability to think clearly. It compromises our ability to make sound decisions. And then when we're chronically stressed, we often succumb to unhealthy behaviors. We're not sleeping right. We're eating. Nobody runs to carrots when they're chronically stressed, right? Like it's potato chips, it's junk food, it's sugar, it's alcohol. It's right to decompress, or to not have to think about this, or avoidance, right? We turn to video games, all types of behaviors, right, to avoid the situation. And so the chronic stress, usually invites things like emotional eating, avoidance, unhealthy sleeping patterns, the use of substances. And so that's how it can then turn into procrastination and prolonging our undesirable circumstances.
Absolutely. So, and you kind of mentioned it there. You mentioned the importance of decision making in terms of how to eliminate the chronic stress. But what are some other solutions for folks to be able to eliminate it?
So here's what happens. When I'm helping people craft exit strategies from chronic stress, they detail the steps that need to be taken to get out of the situation. And when I say steps that need to be taken, I mean like action steps, right? Not like, oh, I need to be more bold, or I need to be more confident. I'm talking about steps like, oh, I actually need to write a letter of resignation. I need to apply for this opportunity. I need to whatever. And so when they list the steps that need to be taken, the next step is I ask them, tell me for each step why you haven't taken that step. Okay. And the why they haven't taken that step is the real work that needs to be done. It's not like, tell me every step you need to take to leave this job you hate and then go do it. No. They could have did that on their own. The reason they need me or a coach is because we have to identify the belief that's tied to the inaction. The belief that's tied to the inaction is the real problem. So tell me why you haven't had, this tough conversation with your partner about, potentially leaving the relationship. Well, I'm afraid of this, or I'm afraid of what other people are going to think if our marriage doesn't work out. Or I'm afraid of, how the impact it might have on the kids, whatever. So it's the belief that's tied to the inaction that is prolonging the circumstance. And that's where, so inevitably, chronic stress often comes from a low emotional intelligence because we're not making decisions because of our feelings around the steps that need to be taken. And so it comes from a low EQ. And then we have limiting beliefs. We need to do belief work because every belief that's telling you not to take that step is where our attention needs to be applied. And so that's how we begin to unravel these chronically stressful situations. And we didn't say this here, but let me just make sure I'm crystal clear. We're talking about chronic stress here, which is deadly. I'm not suggesting that our lives are meant to be stress-free. Acute stress is extremely healthy and normal. Chronic kills. And I want to make that distinction between, people listening, because we all are going to have stressful things that happen to us, right? But our ability to navigate them and how long they last is what determines the impact it's going to have on our long-term health. So chronic stress, it lasts 3 months or longer. It's not purposeful. We don't have an exit strategy. Excuse me. Is what kills, but acute stress, very normal in life.
Good distinction. That was important.
Yeah.
And, for you watching at home, like I've lived that. I was in that environment for about 9 years and finally got out of it with the help of a coach. To Lisa's point, like it took a coach to help me execute the exit strategy. Like, okay, your homework assignment is to draft your resignation letter. I was like, oh, like I knew I needed to have the conversation, but in terms of drafting the letter, that never crossed my mind. I did that because that's the other part of the process, y'all. Like when you get an accountability partner or a coach and they tell you to do something, you have to be coachable. Like you have to follow through on the instructions they give you. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Gotta be coachable. Gotta be coachable. It's so important. Right. And then you just need to know the consequences of inaction. If you decide not to be, or if you decide this is just too hard for me, or I was just too scared for me. Here's my thing, Mellissa. You don't have to do it. Like when I tell people what's required, for example, to overcome type 2 diabetes, to put in remission, to put, high blood pressure in remission, heart disease in remission. If you make the decision not to do everything I ask you to do, I'm okay with that. The thing I need to make sure you are okay with is accepting what's not available to you should you pick and choose the part of the protocol you want to do. So it's acceptance. It's like, okay, if you don't want to go all the way with a plant-based diet, you like, Lisa, I'm still going to eat some fish, but you got high cholesterol. I'm like, that's cool. Just know that we might not get you completely off the statins. We might just reduce the dosage because you're going to take most cholesterol out of your diet, but not all of it because you want to continue to eat fish. So same thing goes here with chronic stress. Like if you decide not to be coachable, that's okay. If you want to pick apart the protocol to the things that most convenient or most comfortable for you, the only thing we ask in return as coaches is that you don't go out here talking about you tried something and it didn't work for you. Or you decide that I didn't get 100% of the result with only 70% of the effort and it's everybody else's fault. Like just say when you tell your story that I went in willing to accept only 70% of the result and then live peacefully with that 70% result. Okay. Don't come back here talking mess about how it doesn't work or that doesn't work for everybody or whatever when you didn't give 100% of the effort. So if you only want to be partially coachable, just make sure you've already had an internal conversation with yourself about living with partial results. Okay. So if you're not ready for full activation, that's okay. We just have to have that acceptance of what's not going to be available to me until I surrender completely.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
if you were watching at home and wondering what radical obedience is, that's what it is. Surrender. That is the
Complete
definition.
surrender. That's how
Yes.
I define it. Is complete surrender to what you're being called to do, despite the presence of fear and uncertainty.
There you go. So, on that wonderful note, please let our folks know how they can come get this health because
Yeah.
she has her challenge coming up in
Yeah.
January. And listen, like Lisa's not playing. She does a whole month of prep before the challenge. So
We
let
do.
them know, Lisa.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm the founder of the Plant Protocol 30-Day Vegan Salt, Oil, and Sugar-Free Challenge. We do it twice a year. The next one is coming up January 1st, 2025. So we're currently registering for the challenge. We've been registering for months now.
Mhm.
We're approaching 1,100 people registered. And this challenge is designed to put some stuff in remission for you. So this challenge is perfect for you if you are currently battling a physical or mental health challenge and you want to utilize nutrition to help assist with combating that challenge, that health challenge. And it is 100% vegan. It is a clean vegan challenge. So we're not going to be eating a bunch of vegan junk food and processed food. And in addition to eliminating animal products, we'll also be eliminating salt, oil, and sugar. So it's a really elevated version of a plant based diet. But the challenge is designed as a treatment plan. So it's not for people who are just plant curious and just want to learn a little more about being plant based, but it's for people who are like, listen, Lisa, I'm on this medication, or I got this weight on me, or I'm dealing with depression, anxiety, health issues. Like, and I need to do something radical about it. That's who this is for. And so the best way, the challenge is free. And we also have VIP options available as well. The best way to get started is to visit lisaangelsmith.com/challenge, lisaangelsmith.com/challenge, and get registered. And wherever you watch this, if it's on YouTube, on Instagram, if you're listening to this, you can also feel free to send me a DM at Lisa Angel Smith. I'm on YouTube, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I'm on TikTok. And make sure you get the information you need so we can send you the registration link. So let me know you heard this on this podcast and you're interested in the challenge, and we'll make sure we get the registration page over to you. But please, please, please do yourself a whole favor. If you've tried before now to DIY your health, to do it yourself, and it hasn't quite worked for you, then you probably need the support of a coach in a community. And the Plant Protocol Challenge is going to be that for you. So please come get registered. Join us January 1st through January 31st. I'll be teaching live every Wednesday evening, Saturday morning throughout the challenge. We always have a great time, and it's the best way to learn more about nutrition science, exercise science. But most importantly, I do a lot of belief shifting when I'm teaching. And so that'll be the way to get your mindset shift that you need in order to make some permanent changes.
Yes, indeed. Very well said. Very well said. And y'all, you're looking at somebody that's done it. So, you know what I mean? Just in case you have any questions about whether or not it will work, it has worked. Okay. We back in the day, we always used to hear stories about people losing weight and keeping it off, and we're like, okay, how though? And
Yeah.
then we also saw the other side, right? Like we would see people who lose weight and then like spring back to gaining all the weight back, and it's like, okay, what happened there? And a lot of it, just to give you guys a little bit more insight into, the conversation that Lisa and I had before I started my protocol. I was like, I really wish somebody would have simplified nutrition to this, y'all. Like when she explained the plant-based, diet and why it works, y'all, it literally comes down to fiber. Like I
Yes.
really wish any food education we would have gotten in school would have just said it like that. It
Yeah.
comes down to fiber. Fiber
Yep.
is the cheat code.
Oh,
It literally is.
oh,
Yeah.
powerful. Powerful.
Like that's all people need to know. If you want to lose weight and keep it off, focus on the fiber. You know what I mean?
Focus on a minimum of 30 grams a day. Fiber, game changer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, Lisa, thank you so much for coming back on. You are always welcome. If you're interested in the protocol, if you're interested in that 30-day challenge, do sign up. You saw the
Yes.
link below. So, and it's also in the description if perhaps you're not watching this, but you're listening. It's also in the description. So please be sure to hit her up, get involved, get that treatment, quote unquote
Yeah.
treatment. Yeah, you will be blessed. So, Lisa,
Yes.
thank you so much for your time. Appreciate you.
Always a pleasure. Thank you for having me again, Mellissa.
Was that not a bomb part two? As I always promise, like Lisa's bringing the gems, man. Like she is always phenomenal. You're always coming away smarter after you talk to her. So I hope that you got some incredible value as a result of both parts of this interview. And once again, if you're interested in her 30-day whole food plant-based SOS free vegan challenge, just go to lisaangelsmith.com/challenge to register there. And for the month of December, you get a full month of prep before the challenge kicks off on January 1st. So if you're dead serious about that, head over to that website to learn more. If you have any questions for me, be sure to subscribe on YouTube at Getting the Win and leave your comments below, your aha moments, leave all of that in the comments below. If you want to DM me on Instagram, follow me there first at Getting the Win Show, and then shoot me the DM, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have. All right, in the meantime and between time, have a great rest of your Wednesday and a great rest of your week. Peace.